Welcome to this week's episode of Fellowship in Essential Oils. This week, we're going to dive into a gentle beauty. It's Roman Chamomile. And speaking of another gentle beauty, how are you, Liz?
Oh, a nice thing to say. I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm very Roman chamomile, actually, very mellow today. And I'm looking forward to talking about it because it's not that long ago that we talked about German chamomile, was it? And we mentioned that we'd come back to Roman chamomile. And I think we both of us made a decision that we didn't want to do it straight after, but to
Yeah.
come back to it quite quickly. So I feel like I'm in the land of the Fae when I'm talking about Roman chamomile. So it's a nice place to be.
We have been talking a lot about a lot of gentle oils recently, and this one is definitely a gentle oil. I know my first experiences with this was very, very early on in the aromatherapy collecting phase of my life. You know, when I guess lavender is always our first 101 oil for sleep. And probably Roman chamomile for me would have been the second one that I would have been using in the bedroom to help get a good night's sleep. It's just so gentle and calming, isn't it?
Yeah, calming and soothing. I think its key word is probably soothing. And I think soothing, particularly, we talked about how German chamomile is very good for soothing the skin for inflammations. You can definitely use Roman chamomile that way, but I talk about it for inflammation of joints, particularly. And also digestive inflammation, so tummy upsets in particular. And you talk about your first experience. I think I'd been qualified as an aromatherapist for quite a long time when I had my first real experience of working with chamomile and going, wow, that was amazing. So I got my aromatherapy qualification when I was incredibly pregnant with my daughter, my first child. And she was a really lovely baby. She was very tranquil. She cried a lot the first 4 days, and then the nurse went, "Oh, you need to give that child a dummy," and that's what we did. And then she stayed mellow after that. But when she got colic and when she started to teeth, oh, she was nightmarish. She was in so much pain. And yeah, I used the Roman chamomile just as a compress on her tummy and put her on a warm pillow lying over it. And within minutes, she would go from that. I don't know if you know what a colic squeal sounds like, but it's like a really high pitch because she's they're cramping to just gurgling. She was just gurgling away and perfectly happy. And I was amazed. So it was the combination of the heat on her and the Roman chamomile. And actually, I would say to any mom who has a teething baby, some Roman chamomile just here is amazing. And you can also get chamomilla, so homeopathic chamomile teething granules, which are well, they look like cocaine actually, but you rub those on and they are fantastic. But chamomile for teething is amazing. So soothing is its key word. Yeah.
And of course, we've mentioned throughout the episodes about being careful, especially when using essential oils with the youngest members of our family. But if you were to kind of put together a baby kit, would Roman chamomile be in there?
Yes, definitely. But actually, it's not a chamomile, but I like chamomile Moroccan chamomile, wild chamomile for children. But we've talked in the past how I used aromatherapy quite a lot, gentle oils on my children, but now knowledge has moved on, and I think general thinking is perhaps you shouldn't use it onto children because the oils on their skin aren't properly developed, and that seems right to me. So conditions where the baby's really in strong pain, like colic, yeah, I would use it, but I wouldn't be using it every day for just relaxing a baby or soothing a baby or what have you. And actually, I didn't plan to talk about this, but since you asked the question, one of the things that comes up a lot when you're talking about babies is people kind of forget a key piece of information, and you zone in on the properties of the oil to go, oh, that's a soothing oil, that's a relaxing oil, that's an analgesic oil. But you mustn't forget that a baby navigates its world via smell. And what's interesting is a baby can actually distinguish its own mum's amniotic fluid from other mums' amniotic fluid several weeks after it's born, so it knows the smell of its mum really strongly, and even before its eyes focus, it knows the smell of mum, it knows the smell of dad, it knows the smell of brothers and sisters. So why would you disguise the smell of the things that make them calm by shoving an oil over the top? It doesn't make
Mm.
sense. And so there are ways of introducing essential oils. So a great one is if mum will have milk coming in, whether she's breastfeeding or not. So she'll need to have breast pads on. And so to just put a tiny bit of oil onto mum's boob, diluted of course, and then put the breast pad against it, the breast pad then takes on the smell of mum's milk and the smell of the oil. So it's really, really dilute. And over time, baby starts to associate the two smells together. So to put like that breast pad into the baby's cot, so that they can smell both together, then that's restful. That's helpful for babies who won't sleep. But you definitely shouldn't just put oils on the baby, because of the oils on their skin. There's not a strong enough protective barrier yet. I think that is accurate information. And you should not disguise mum's smell with essential oils.
In this respect, are you talking the first 6 months, the first year? How long would you say that you'd want to be careful with both of those things?
We say, well, so I think we say that the oils on the skin aren't properly formed till around about 6 months old. Yeah. So if I'm writing for somebody, I would always say don't use essential oils on a baby that's less than 6 months old. If you have the advice of an aromatherapist and you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing, you can probably be a little bit more clever with the oils than that. But for somebody who doesn't know about essential oils, that's a good guideline. And why would you change that way of working with the oils just because the child is older? So I probably would continue with the breast pad idea until I'd run out of milk. And so that will last longer if you are breastfeeding, but if you're not breastfeeding, your milk will go quite quickly. But you can still do this idea of putting the breast pad in your bra, that still takes on smells of mum. And so yeah, I would carry on till probably about a year old, to maybe even 2 years old, if it's just about providing that feeling of safety for baby.
Okay, now enough of this baby talk. Let's talk about adults. Obviously, there are lots of different calming oils. When would you personally reach for Roman chamomile for physical ailments?
So I touched on it at the beginning. If there's an inflammation of the skin, then I would go German chamomile. But if there's an inflammation of joints, so for example, edema under the skin, so this idea of lymphatic swelling, then I would go for Roman chamomile. So for example, if you have sprained your ankle or twisted your knee, or if you've got rheumatism or arthritis and it does look inflamed underneath the skin, I would use Roman chamomile. But to be clear, chemically, they're very, very different. And I'll explain why that is in a minute. But really, if you've only got German chamomile, so use German chamomile. They're really similar in that way. But for me, preferentially, I have both bottles. So joints and that kind of inflammation, Roman chamomile, and likewise, digestive upsets, Roman chamomile. And so a good example. I don't think it's any secret now that my husband's had cancer and he's lost his jaw. So his face, the radiotherapy for his face burnt really badly down here, and we used German chamomile to get it, and lots of other different oils, but German chamomile and violet leaf as the base to get the redness down, and it brought it down very quickly. But he saw the surgeon yesterday and had to stretch his mouth. So, of course, it inflamed. And you can see that it is now swollen under his eye because of being poked. Well, now that's changed, in my opinion, to a Roman chamomile application. So even though it looks red on the side, to me, that's underneath. That's swelling from articulation of the joint. Then I will go Roman chamomile.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, not beautiful about your husband, but beautiful for understanding the differences. Thank you for the example of that. Yeah, that could have sounded heartless then. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, you mentioned a little bit about let's explore the differences. Now, if we had the two oils in clear bottles, that'd be very easy to tell the difference between. We've spoken about German chamomile, often called blue chamomile. That's got that beautiful blue color. But Roman chamomile is a lovely golden color usually.
Yeah, or virgin on green. So when I smell it, it's definitely a green oil. Hence, for those of you on the podcast, I am wearing a green. To me, this is the vibration of Roman chamomile, this lovely green colour, and it's called earth apple. That's what chamomilium means, earth apple, and it does smell like apples. So yeah, you've got this sort of golden greenish, very pale hue to it, but chemically there is a big difference, which is really interesting that you have this big difference, but they kind of do the same thing. So we talked about German chamomile having what's called azulines, which are like a liquid anesthetic, but the Roman chamomile is rich in esters, and esters are the calming oil constituents, and we use them for inflammation. That's exactly what I've just said. That's what they're for. um, so were you any good at science at school, Ad?
I did rather well in chemistry and human biology, actually. Yeah.
Did you ever make esters at school?
Oh, I don't think we did actually. No.
So I think anybody in England will be smiling now, because this was very much on our curriculum when we were at school, that you actually created esters chemically. Now I have no idea how we did it. Can't remember at all. Can't remember how we did it. But what I do remember is there was a really strong smell of pear drops when you made them. So that was the smell of the sweet of the time. It smelt of pear drops, which was delicious. And so esters have this lovely fruitiness, and of course that's what lends itself to getting the name earth apple, because it does smell of fruity. And so yeah, so imagine the kind of sensation of biting into a lovely piece of fruit. They are refreshing, they are calming, they're very grounding. They make you really notice nature. Those are the properties of esters.
Yeah. Now it's interesting you're mentioning, earth apple, and it kind of, you were saying that it's very soothing essential oil. Probably my favorite word for Roman chamomile is actual gentleness. And I find that it's really beautiful for any form of gentleness. So first of all, it can be really great for helping us just sometimes a gentle nudge is more powerful than a shove. And there's plenty of times in life when someone is not doing what we want them to do, whether we're waiting for a reply or whether they're being disobedient, whatever that may be. And we know that getting angry, yelling at them, getting aggressive just doesn't quite do it. And Roman chamomile, I find is really, really beautiful for just helping to help with that gentle approach. How can I take the heat out of this and just be really quite calm and just be polite? Because often, as I say, you can kill them with kindness far better than you can with aggression. And so it's really nice in that way. But also, as we start to work with it on a more global scale in meditations and works like this, it's a beautiful one for helping us to just be mindful of how we tread upon the earth. I'm not talking about your actual physical footsteps, but being gentle with the earth, thinking about our environmental impact. It kind of has that very, when I think about an animal that it might be corresponding to, I often think of the deer. And deers are quite elegant. The stags are quite strong, but they still tread very gently upon the earth. And so really nice in that way as well. But most importantly, where I think Roman chamomile is really, really beautiful is helping us to be gentle with ourselves. Often, we have a harsh inner critic. We'll beat ourselves up. We'll put expectations on ourselves, high expectations on ourselves. And when we aren't kind of getting, tens across the board and A pluses in our life, then we start to really go nasty on ourselves. We know that's detrimental, and we know that's got no benefit. So working with Roman chamomile can just help to soothe that energy. And it's interesting that we did go down the tangent of babies, because I actually find that Roman chamomile is a perfect oil for mothers. Motherhood's a thankless job, and sometimes I don't have children, but I can imagine what it's like. You get given this child, you walk out of a hospital after a few days, and you're like, where's the instruction manual? it's making noises, it's doing things that I don't know how to use it. And every parent has to, there's no right or wrong way to raise a child, and you've got to work it out. And obviously, every parent is going to make mistakes or not sure what to do along the way. But again, instead of getting critical of yourself, or, you know, when your child isn't being the perfect angel you wish they were all the time, Roman chamomile is a really nice one. Just to kind of go, hey, I'm doing the best I can. You know, you talked about that very loving energy. Bring that loving energy in, be loving to yourself and be loving to other people. And that can, you know, be a really powerful thing. So I love, just for enshrouding yourself in gentleness, Roman chamomile is definitely an oil for that.
What made you say step gentle on the ground? Do you know where you got it from?
Uh, no, that's not extracted from anything I read. I just went up whenever I work with Roman chamomile, that gentleness on oneself, others, and upon the earth comes up. Why is that?
Well, so again, I take it you don't have it growing in Australia.
N-
I
not
would imagine.
not a lot. No, some people might pop a little bit in the garden. I know it can be good for, you know, it's the plant's physician as well.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, but it's not something we'd see every day in every garden.
Yep. So actually, so if you go back sort of time of the First World War, the epitome of an English garden would be to have a chamomile lawn. And chamomile lawns are difficult to maintain because they grass stops them. So any kind of grass seed that goes on, it's gonna suffocate them. So this idea of walking on chamomile is interesting. So you use two different types of chamomile to make a chamomile lawn. You can use chamomile Trinegue or Enthymus Trinegue, which is a spreading chamomile. It's called lawn chamomile, or you can use Roman chamomile. So we have a little patch of land which is, I mean, like tiny, 4 foot by 2 foot, I guess, just by the side of the pond where we're growing a chamomile lawn. So it's a thankless task because I'm always weeding it. And these chamomiles just sit there. They are Trinegue chamomiles rather than Roman chamomiles, but I am going to put Roman chamomiles in. But they're just not doing a great deal at all. So I looked it up. Well, why are my chamomiles not working? Because they are in exactly the right place. And somebody had said you increase chamomile's growing power by walking on it. So that's why that it's not growing, because it's in a place where you wouldn't actually naturally walk on it. It's just for me to sit and put my feet on while I'm sitting looking in the pond. So I've started to walk on it, and immediately they've started to grow bigger. So that's really interesting how you had like it clearly is a vibration of the plant that you've picked up, but it was like, well, I always call it disconnected. It's become disconnected from its knowledge, but that is exactly right from that. And to put you right, actually, about you leave hospital a few days after with a baby. You leave hospital sometimes the same day and sometimes the next day now. So yeah, that idea of what on earth to do with this baby. And of course, even if you are a skilled mom, which I'm not blowing my trumpet that I am, my first two babies were very simple to raise. They were both quite well behaved, although my son, my oldest son, is neurodiverse. He has Asperger's syndrome. But they ate, they slept, they did everything they should according to the textbook. And I thought that was me being a good mom. And then I had Dexter. And Dexter went, no, forget the rule book. I'm going to defy all of it. And as you say, yeah, it's very difficult. Child's child is very difficult. So that soothing element of chamomile, and drink chamomile tea as a mom is the best thing going. Do you know what the Ishtar Gate is?
No, is it referring to the goddess Ishtar, or is it something
It is.
different? It is.
No,
there we go.
it is. So archaeologists found the Ishtar Gate, which was the gate to Babylon at the time when Ishtar was worshipped. Not intact because it had been battered to smithereens, but they found the whole of it, including these incredible tiles that were over the top of it. And you should definitely look it up. And I say look it up because it is it belongs now to the Museum of Berlin. But my son went last week and he said, I said, are you going to go and see the Ishtar Gate again? He said, well, no, Mum. They're renovating the museum now till 2040. So you won't actually be able to see it. I'm hoping they take it on tour, but it's a monstrous thing, huge, great big thing. But the reason why I talk about it is the most beautiful royal blue colour. And it has all these fantastic motifs and reliefs along it. It has dragons, it has lions, but outlining it all, and on a separate wall called the flower wall, is this dedication to the chamomile flower. There are hundreds of thousands of this chamomile flower, and there's this idea that the goddess is able to appease these monsters, these dragons, these lions, and that they are at their behest, but not without the chamomile. And so it's very, very interesting to see how, and I should note that she is a bee goddess. So the fact that she's surrounded by chamomiles is very, very interesting. And if you look at it from a botanical perspective, have you ever seen a chamomile flower?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So they're like daisies, really, aren't they? Some have like raised domes. Can't remember which way around. I think the raised domes are the German chamomile summer, but anyway, they're different.
That's right. Yeah.
But the corona in the middle, like all composite eye flowers, is also like the microcosm and the macrocosm, because you're looking at a flower, but the corona is full of hundreds of thousands of tiny little flowers. So this tiny little thing is an army, really. That is the nature of all chamomile flowers, that they open the door to the fae, to the army of the fae.
My mind is going off on a slight tangent, and it's not a fully realized thought yet. But I was just really interested on that idea of when you walk on Roman chamomile, it actually flourishes. And I'm wondering where, obviously that would be passed on to the medicine of the oil. When maybe we're feeling crushed and defeated, this will actually help us to germinate and grow and come out of that. And one magical use. Now, you are normally the bath lady. You're always like, get the oils in the bath. But today, I'm going to make the first reference to the bathtub. Taking a bath with a few drops of Roman chamomile is said to be really good for helping to clear away unwanted energy, especially heartbreak or any negativity that anyone else has placed upon you. So if you've had someone nasty to you during the day, you want to rid that, taking a bath in Roman chamomile is said to cleanse that, ease that pain, and as you then pull the plug out, the water goes down the drain and it draws that energy out of your life. So could be, it's an amazing oil in that way.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. It definitely is. And I feel like I probably said this. I don't remember saying it, but I probably said it in the German chamomile, but it's worth repeating that, some plants, I can hear them singing sometimes, and I hear oils as musical notes. The chamomiles and all of the chamomiles sing "Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be." And I saw a tremendous meme, and I'm pretty sure it was Shelley Entine that posted it this morning, that said, "Don't waste your energy on worry. Use your energy for creating." And and I would say that that is absolutely the best oil to use, geranium or Roman chamomile. I'm worried. Stop the worry. Just let it be. Leave it to the universe. And of course, that really. We talk linguistically, different magical things linguistically through the ages, but that is what you leave it to the universe means, that we leave it to the elementals around us, to the fae, to the powers that we can't see, to reorganize the universe for us. And so this soothing element of you are being cared for, particularly by the physician plant. It's caring for you, and it knows how to interact with all of those elements around you, and to move things into action is profound, really.
And especially mentioned a couple of times, the Fey realms or the fairy realms, which are the mystical beings of the air elements. You'll see a lot of references between Roman chamomile and the fairies. I think, worry is obviously an air thing. We're too much in our mind. We're thinking too much. Whereas when we allow ourselves to interact with the fae, whether that, however we may do that, but for those that haven't really had any experience with it, getting outside and just sitting in the wind and allowing the wind to blow off the cobwebs, it said that's when the Fae come and whisper to us. And that's when inspiration comes, because they are that light-hearted, that playful, that free mind, where often when we get stuck on something and going over and over and over again, that's where the air element is stuck. It's not flowing. We know that air is meant to flow. And so when our mind is stuck, Roman Chamomile and the Fey realms are really nice to connect with to get that free thought going again.
Yeah, but also that they are we imagine the Fae as fairies who fly, but not all of them fly. They're the divas of different elements. So, but particularly for chamomile, it's the earth apple. It grounds. It brings up that like Mother Nature around you.
Yeah, beautiful. Now we also mentioned German is blue. This is gold, yellowy golden to green. It's also got a strong connection to abundance, being that kind of one of the golden colored oils. One little trick that I love, whenever you get your hand soap, hopefully everyone's using an all-natural hand soap, but when you fill up the container each time, 3 drops of Roman chamomile. It said to, when you wash your hands with Roman chamomile, it helps to bring abundance in as well. Now, Liz said before, obviously it's great for aches and joints and that type of thing. So it's going to be great on a physical level. It's going to be great for the skin, but you're magically bringing the energy of abundance into your hand each time you wash your hands as well. So that's another little way that you can use your Roman chamomile.
That's clever. I realised I forgot one other important feature. So another time I've used it a lot was when my kids had chicken pox. And I probably said this when I was talking about mandarin as well, because I used a blend of mandarin, Roman chamomile, and lavender. In the bath, and that really makes you sleep. I have to say that particular blend, but also rubbed into oatmeal and then rubbed on so you don't take the scabs off when you want to. It's really itchy, and that's a tremendous soothing thing for itchy skin.
Now, we've been talking about peace and harmony and all those types of things, and any kind of peace meditation. Roman chamomile will be lovely to incorporate into that as well. But I think we're going to get a little bit unpeaceful now, because I think we're going to disagree with a few things. Let's talk about chakras.
I think for this one, given that we're saying digestion, I think we're going to have to say solar plexus. And given that we're talking about connections to Fae and to goddesses and those like universal realms, also crown chakra. You also use it as well, actually, thinking about it, as a gargle for sore throats and inflamed tempers, really. So maybe throat, but no, solar plexus and crown. I'm going to go.
I actually go with your third option. I find Roman chamomile does work really well for the throat chakra. A lot of the time when we're thinking about this energy center, we're thinking about talking, communication, self-expression. And yes, it can help with gentle speech, but I think we need a few more oils, and Roman chamomile is a perfect one for the other aspect of communication, the listening. And Roman chamomile is a really nice one for just allowing us to stop, to listen to what people are saying, to actually hear what people are saying, and allow, again, often the throat chakra is referred to as the bridge of peace, because what we say can either create peace or it can create war. And so working with Roman chamomile in that way of being able to listen to someone, understand them, and then speak back in a peaceful way and a empathetic and a compassionate way, we can form those bridges of peace really beautiful by working with this oil. So I love it for the throat chakra.
I think that's really clever. And of course, the first thing that we learn to listen to as children, to learn that skill of listening and studying and hearing, is fairy tales.
Very true. Yeah, that's a good point. Good tie in there. Now, planetary wise, where would you work with Roman chamomile?
Moon. Let me think. Moon and Mercury. Mercury's throat as well. But yeah, moon.
Yeah, no, I'm going to agree with you on that one. It's very much it's that gentleness, and I guess the white petals. One of the unusual things about the flower of this oil compared to most of the others is it's kind of dual colored with the yellow center and the white. Whereas a lot of flowers are just one color, and often you can like the Greeks and the Romans would attribute yellow flowers to Mercury and pink flowers to Venus and red flowers to Mars and so on. White flowers are obviously the moon. So yeah, but I think the gentleness with those white petals definitely makes it a moon one as well. So we reach a peaceful agreement there.
Well, maybe. I'm going to maybe argue with myself. It's not something I've looked at, but listening to you talk, then there's a lot of composite flowers that follow the sun. So, for example, that's why it's called calendula, because the calend, it follows the sun through the day. So I don't know whether they do that or not, and if they did, then also that would put it as a sun medicine as well. But I don't think they do really. Their heads are more like that than like that, thinking about it. But if that were the case, then there was sun. But yeah, I'm happy with moon.
Okay, we'll settle on moon then. Awesome. Well, hopefully we've brought a blessing of peace upon your day, whether you're watching us or listening to us. That's Roman Chamomile. We'll be back next week, and we're going to dive into another amazing gift of Mother Nature. Until then, have a little play with Roman Chamomile and let us know in the comments how you like to use it. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye bye.